So it looks like we're going to have a pretty interesting mix here for the sprint race. Some of these faster drivers starting a little bit farther back due to the wet racing or wet conditions we saw in qualifying. But it's going to be interesting. It's about 26 laps, I believe, we're going to be seeing here for the sprint. Thank you for being my sound technician there, Baba Yaga. Appreciate it. Alright, and you can see everybody at this point is going to be loading up their final race strategies. So you're good for a lot of things there, Baba Yaga. And everyone's going to be loading up their strategies here, getting their final checks in place. So it'll be just a couple minutes here before we go green. But anyone in chat, let me know what your predictions are for tonight's race. I want to see maybe some sprints and then your final race predictions as well, because we do have the following race coming up right after the sprint. So we should be going green any minute now here. Alright, you can see we're getting ready to go now. We're starting their formation lap. Me was going to be leading us on the way. Set the fastest lap in qualifying. And Skrenzi's currently sitting in P2 is tied for the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Lightwork not appearing tonight, so Skrenzi's going to have a good opportunity to make up some ground there. Put a little bit of distance between the two of them, which I'm sure he would very much appreciate. El Majako is not too far off. He's sitting down towards P5 in the Drivers' Championship, last season's Drivers' Champion. But points aren't spread out too much at this point in the season, so anything can change here with a couple of results and more points to be had at this sprint weekend. 21 laps here and then followed by 63 after that. So driver's going to be getting a workout tonight. See there, everybody is going to be running the medium tire tonight. We're not going to be required to make any pit stops for this sprint. So it's just 21 laps straight through, only pitting for broken wings or if they needed to change tire for whatever reason. See, coming up now. See, the last driver's round in the final corner there is going to be Villeneuve. He had an early DNF in qualifying, so he wasn't able to set any sort of lap times. Be able to make sure his tires are nice and warm. The longer he takes, the colder everyone in the front's tires are going to be. See a couple drivers pointing their cars where they'd like to be. Aiming here off the start. See, lights are coming on now. Lights out and off they go. We're going to see a pretty consistent start there. Screnzy's able to get a good jump there on me, who's coming up alongside of him now. See there, everyone getting around in the front. Baba Yaga down quite a few places, and there's going to be a big pile up there. So that is not what you'd want to see. See, that's going to be most of the field there stopped, so that is most definitely going to be a safety car, and we're going to see quite a few people pitting for front wings. I'm going to be a 5-second penalty there for Elma, Jacko, Buck, and Cynical, it's looked like it said. Like he's going to be missing a big chunk of his wing as well. So we didn't make it too far before we had a bit of contact there, but most of these guys are going to be coming into the pits there in the later half of the field. Looked like that was a nasty collision there. See, pretty much from getting it on back looked fine. There's a couple guys up there running with parts of their front wing or no front wing. Baba Yaga is going to be gaining a lot of positions off of that. He was down on the start, but due to all of the contact and everything, he was able to move himself up a couple places there, and once these guys pit, I imagine he'll be able to move up a good bit more. Scuba Steve looking like he's got a bit of damage as well. See, Screnzy wasn't able to get the pass done before the safety car came out, and you're going to see 4 or 5 drivers into the pits now, 6 of them. Going to see speeding in the pit lane from Tin Man the Rowdy there, so unfortunate for him, as that is going to be all but 7 drivers coming into the pits there, so we are going to see a bit of shifting around there. That was a big collision there, claiming those bottom 8. You see, getting it to win is going to be going on to a set of soft tires, leading out the queue out of the pits there. So I'm wondering if he's going to be able to make it all the way to the end on that set. I'm not sure what the tire life is around here, but that'll be interesting to see if he's able to pull that off. I believe he should be able to on 100% settings, but now they're just going to have to close in that gap now, and then I'll have a couple laps under safety car and get back to racing there. But I'm not sure what happened there on the start, who came into who. But a lot of drivers had to pay the price for that, and Buck is going to be on a set of hards. I'm not sure that's something he wanted to go for there. Interesting call on that. So those would not have any advantage here today, as ASR Matt is going to get himself a 3-second penalty for track violations under the safety car. So Get It to Win It is coming into the pits now, and he's also going to get a penalty for speeding. It's a pretty short pit lane here coming in, so not too surprising. Maybe he's going to be didn't want to keep those on there, like when he did have front wing damage, so I imagine that would be the reason for his pit. So he's going to have a set of softs on his car still. See Jacko and Rowdy also making their way into the pits. Not sure what they're pitting for. Looked like most everyone had previously pit. Looks like we are going to be going around again, as Imola is still pretty far back from the field. So I imagine this will be our final lap under the safety car. But didn't see too much of a change in the top half of the standings at the moment from these drivers, but pretty much everyone from 8th on back had to come into the pits there after some major contact and a big pile up there in turn 1, turn 2 area right around here. So we saw a little bit of shuffling from them. Some of the faster guys, Imola getting it to win it, starting in the back. So I imagine we'll see a bit of a hard charge. We're going to just have not too many laps now. We're just going to be down to 17 remaining. So these guys are going to be warming up their tires now. They're thinking the safety car is going to end this lap as well. Skinner went into the pits then again. Might have had some more contact or more front wing damage, I'm not sure. But now he's going to be back a bit. As we are going to see the safety car coming in this lap. So that's going to mean that Meeby's going to be pacing the field until that safety car is in the pit lane. And then whenever he's ready to go, once the flag is out, he's going to be able to restart this race. And Screnzy's going to want to stay as close as possible to him, but Meeby's going to try to get the jump on him and everyone else. And we usually see a little bit of a mix up here on these safety car restarts. Some people have colder tires, might be more prone to spin or not be able to make it through some of these corners, as Meeby's going to be wasting no time to get this field going again. See, Jose Miguel's following the two of them there. Screnzy is closing in as Meeby's swerving to get a little bit more heat into his tires at the moment, coming down in the first corner. Seems pretty clean in here so far. You're going to see on board with Villeneuve. He started this race last, so good improvement from him. And see those top 3 guys going at it there again. Top 4 now, not Gravity is staying pretty consistent there. Baba Yaga is down a few spots as well. You're going to see him making a little bit of contact on the inside there. You're going to see getting it to win it in the McLaren sitting in the back. Baba Yaga might have had a little bit of a wing damage there. It's going a bit slower there. As those guys, a couple going off the track, and there's an Alpine there, and Baba Yaga nearly takes it out. But that is going to be see the end of the race from Buck and Tin Man. As you can see, they were not able to clear the scene in time. That is unfortunate for them. That's going to see them out of the sprint race, but there is still going to be the feature race to follow. So they're not totally out for the evening. So that is unfortunate to see them out this early on. And that is going to be another safety car as well to clear those cars out and bunch up the field again. So just got going for just about a lap there. Lap and a half. This guy's not having the best nights tonight, I don't think. So Imola goes into the pits again. Let's see what he's going to be doing differently here. So maybe now he'd be thinking about a set of soft tires. I bet he'd be able to coax those all the way through. Yep, he's going to have some wing damage there. So not sure where he got that from. Looks like a little underbody damage as well. Let's see. Matt is going to retire from the session there. Not having a good evening. And is just going to see 13 drivers left for us then. A couple soft runners there of Ginnett and Jacko. Going to be wanting to make up as much ground because their finish positions for the sprint race are going to determine their starting positions for the following race. So any of these guys who DNF are going to be starting at the back of the field for the feature race, but they would have a lot more time to make up some time, maybe go for a more aggressive strategy and see what they'd be able to pull off then. See, not Gravity going into the pits there as well. Not sure if he grabbed a front wing. Wasn't able to catch that in time. It's going to see him drop to the back of the field. So now we got 3 drivers out there on soft tires. Are going to have a distinct advantage over in terms of pace and traction over the medium runners. But they aren't going to have the longevity that the medium tires are going to be able to put up with abuse for quite a bit longer out there. Some of these corners are going to be pretty demanding from the tires as well. Some long, slow, sweeping corners and a lot of change in direction up and down as well. But the drivers are now on lap 7. Hasn't really been a sprint, it's been more of a parade so far, but I think the safety car may be coming in this lap, depending on if not Gravity's able to close in that gap a couple seconds more. I think we'll definitely see ourselves running again. And we are going to be going around again with under the safety car. But not Gravity has closed up that gap, so I imagine this will actually be the last lap for a safety car for at least a little bit longer. Only had about a lap and a half of racing the previous time, as Gravity is into the pits again. So seeing quite a few pits, see these drivers going through quite a few sets of tires. Not really doing too much with them, but not Gravity's going to set on a set of mediums. As Meeb is warming up his tires pretty aggressively here. Wanted to get some good heat into him. Might have got him a little too colder, or let him get a little too cold for his liking. Safety car, there is a lot of bunching and spreading out very rapidly, so drivers have to be extra cautious when following, especially when it's coming towards the end of the safety car. Everyone likes to bunch up nice and close. Very easy to pick up 5-second penalties doing that. See, the safety car is going to be coming in this lap. It's a late call to go in, it looks like. But you can see these front 2 drivers warming up their tires a little bit, getting a little in sync there. And off they go. Jose Miguel gets a good jump on Screnzi, who's a little bit on his back foot there. Looking like he might have to yield coming into this corner. And he does so indeed, but they're going side by side through the corner. Screnzi goes up over onto the rumbles a little bit there. Has to back out in the end. Lancey making up a position on Villeneuve as well. He's going to be following pretty closely there on his teammate. So Williams has been pretty dominant so far this season, as they are leading the championship. So it looks like they should be on course for another good result if they can keep it clean and maybe work together and cut through the field a little bit. Shelly the Turtle and Scuba Steve both got a little bit sideways there. Shelly got the worst of it, losing out a few positions there to Cynical and Slayerized. Able to breeze right around him there. You see Baba Yaga not too far behind them. Elma Jacko on that set of softs is making quick work of Baba Yaga down this straight here. No DRS for these guys yet as they were under safety car, but he does not need that to make anything work. So he's got a 1:19.2 for the fastest lap of the session. Going to be a representative race time for us. Quite a bit faster. As you can see, Elma Jacko making a move on Shelly the Turtle now, coming all side by side down this straight here. And he is going to make quick work of that. Teammates for the evening. Shelly looking like he maybe didn't want to fight that one too hard. Last thing you want to do is make contact with your teammate. You see Villeneuve there is slowing down a lot. Looks like he had a spin. Elma Jacko is now on the back of Cynical here. He's going to want to be able to get a better exit out of this corner here, maybe make something happen straight. If not, get on the chicane is going to be another good option as they come down into that downhill part of that final corner. It's pretty much a hairpin, I would say, so we're going to just call it that from now on. But it's a pretty good spot for making an overtaking move happen if you can get the traction and get your tires to hook up, which he does have the advantage. Meeb sets a new fast lap of 1:18.6, so about 0.6 faster than his previous time. DRS is going to be enabled this time around. Elma Jacko is going to see if he's able to make anything happen. Shelly the Turtle is going to come into the pits now, and he's going to retire from the session. As Jacko gets a good exit out of that corner there, coming up alongside, has to back out of the move though, just not enough room to really make a claim there, but Cynical is going to go a bit wide there, and that's going to allow Jacko to slide up through. And Jacko is now going to look to defend if he has to, as well as close down that gap he's got with Slayer Eyes 2.5 seconds up ahead of him there. Scrumsy has set a new fast sector 2 time, so he is on the hunt at the moment. This Gravity is now under the back of Cynical. Cynical went wide, and that allowed Jacko through and close down that gap with Gravity as well, allowing him back in the fight. But you can see Cynical using some ERS as well as DRS to get himself a little bit of a lead there. Both going to be having that DRS, so that's pretty much going to be negating one another and just come down to their straight line speed. Cynical's not strong out of that corner there, and it looks like Gravity's going to be able to do what Jacko couldn't and get a pretty much right up alongside of him, and both of them keep pretty clean and consistent going through there. Not doing much. They didn't even think they banged wheels there. That's nice to see. As Vil is off in the grass yet again, Cynical's wanting to fight this one back though and get this place back. Meeb has set yet another fastest lap time. Slayer Eyes all over the back of Jacko there. Coming around that corner. Had to back off just a little bit, looking like he's able to close down a little bit. Both of them went a bit wide there. Slayer Eyes got a little bit less traction off that corner there. Jacko's able to push just a little bit ahead. See, everyone's starting to spread out just a little bit. Looks like Lancey and Screnzi, though, are staying in with DRS range of Jose Miguel up in front. And that Slayer is the only one other driver, as well, I guess Cynical now as well, is able to break that down under a second. Let's see, another yellow flag in Sector 3. Villeneuve is back there. I knew he was struggling a little bit. See what he's able to do here. Maybe just doesn't have the best setup for this track. But Screnzi's just going to fall out of DRS range by a little bit, able to work and fight that back and get it down to a more comfortable gap, close that if he can. Lancey is closing in hot on his heels as well, so I imagine these guys might be in a party together, and if they're not able to make something happen, they might swap places and see if that'll affect anything. Down the straight, they're going to be burning some ERS as well. You can see that red light means they're harvesting energy. Got a low supply. Slayer is on the back of Gravity yet again. Super closing down that gap, super close on the straights, but just not enough to really get himself through the corner there. Cynical is sitting back just watching that happen, trying to close that gap down a little bit, get himself up into DRS range. He's going to see Ginnett coming to the pits, and he's going to be retiring from this session as well. On lap 15 of 21, so just got 6 laps left here to go. Strawberries haven't been under too much stress. There's been a lot of safety car driving tonight. Meeb is able to get himself a 1.9 second lead over Jose Miguel. Meeb looking like he's gonna want to take tonight's feature race win. See, he's setting himself up very nicely, able to put out a good gap there. See, Lancey is closing in a little bit there. You see the McLaren there from Ginnett's AI out on track. It's interesting. But if Meeb's able to keep up this kind of pace in the main race, he would be on course for a pretty solid win. He's already got the gap up to 2.3 seconds now. Gaining a good bit on these medium tires. Meeb is going to get himself a 3-second time penalty though, so now he is going to definitely need to extend that gap if he wants to hold on to this win, as Miguel is just 2.2 seconds behind him and would overtake him and claim the victory then. That is also going to be some good information for Screnzi and Lancey, as if they could get themselves up in within 3 seconds of him as well. They'd be able to move up a couple places. Miguel's closed down that gap to 2 seconds about now. Coming down 3:10, so you can just see him up there in the distance, not too far ahead, but just out of reach. Jacko on the soft tires was able to improve in quite a few places, but I think he's kind of worn out the tires just a little bit, not able to attack it as aggressively anymore. But it seemed to be a viable strategy to get him up from the back of the field here up to P6. If he can finish here, that'd be a good way to spring himself up into a podium contention for the future. Jose Miguel hasn't been able to close down that gap. Since then gained to 2.2 seconds again there, but as long as he can stay within this close range, he would be able to, he is going to take the victory here tonight due to that 3-second penalty from Mead there. The only driver to get a penalty so far, so these guys doing pretty good. I just knew that ASR Matt had a penalty. Slancy is still just following his teammate there. Not able to close the gap, or maybe just not pushing at this point with just 3 laps left to go. Imagine they just want to be able to get themselves through to the main race in this position. They would have a good chance of a double podium there for Williams tonight, which would greatly extend their lead in the championship standings as well. Lancy gets a little bit loose there, but corrects it very quickly. Imagine these guys' tires are starting to come towards the end of their traction phase, and they're going to have to start coaxing them a little bit through some of these corners, not pushing it nearly as aggressively as they did before, as you're going to see it with another yellow flag in Sector 1. So on lap 19 of 21 now. So not too long left in this race, not a lot left that these guys can do. Scuba Steve is also going to get a 3-second time penalty, as is Not Gravity at this point. So that is going to change the standings around a little bit for their races. You can see El Majaco is just within a second of Scuba Steve up ahead. And Gravity at the moment is 3.5 ahead of Slayer Eyes. Meeb's going to set a new fastest lap. Looking like he's starting to push a little bit now. He doesn't have too much longer to coast these tires. He's able to push and try to get that 2.4 up to a 3-second gap, so he can hold on to this win. But Not Gravity is 3.8 seconds ahead of Slayer Eyes, so he would not change positions with that one there. Scuba Steve standing to lose out, as is Meeb, if he can't keep this gap consistent. You see El Majaco is able to slide past Scuba Steve, but Scuba Steve is hot on the pursuit, looking to retake that position, even if he isn't going to be able to finish it there. You see he's coming on to lap 21 now. This guy's up in the front there, but El Majaco still duking it out pretty heavily with Scuba Steve, not able to close down that gap. He's running out of ERS. Thinks about a move there, but has to back out of it. It'd be better to finish than place down than to not finish at this point. So Gravity is able to increase his gap there to 4.6 seconds, so he should be safe in holding off that position there, as the gap between Meeb and Jose Miguel is at 2.9 seconds right now, 2.8. It's all going to come down to these final corners about who's going to win this race. Although they're not battling for position, they are racing against time here. you can see there, Jose Miguel's burning off his ERS, trying to get it as close to him as possible, and it's going to come down to taking this corner as quickly. He's right on 3 seconds right now. It's going to be a 2.95 at the moment, so he is barely going to claim that victory there by 5/100ths of a second. But that's all you need to do there, as Jose Miguel is going to be the winner of tonight's sprint race at Imola, followed by Mead there in the Mercedes in P2, followed by Screnzi and Williams taking P3, and Lancey and the other Williams P4. Jacko with the dominant drive to take himself up to P5 there in the Aston Martin, followed by Scuba Steve, Not Gravity, taking the number 7 spot, Slayerized in 8th, Cynical in 9th, Baba Yaga 10th, and Vil in 11th. And we saw 5 DNFs here tonight. Buck was the first out, followed by the Tin Man, the Rowdy. And we starting with the back for the feature race. ASR Matt, Shelly Turtle, and Ginnett were the others. So they're going to have a bit more work to do throughout the remainder of the feature race coming up here. And some of these other guys are going to be looking to push forward through the field. Williams are going to be wanting to extend up there. Screnzi has the championship to think about, score as many points as he is able to tonight to give himself the edge over light work when we see him back out on track. You see Vil is going to be the last driver coming up to the line now, taking a little time swerving, having a little bit of fun with it. And there you have it. That is going to be your sprint race here at Imola. There you can see the classification there for everybody. And the top 8 drivers all going to be getting points there, as you can see. And that's how they have it formatted for the IRL racers. But we do it a little bit differently around here at MidWest. So everyone's going to be getting points for the sprint, I believe. But yeah, ABS around here is kind of helpful sometimes. Forward's working on some home transition stuff like that, or something or other, so he's out tonight. But gonna see Not Gravity and Baba Yaga in the Red Bull tonight. But so it looks like we are going to be starting up a new lobby. Had a little bit of technical issues for this, so we'll get a new lobby up and going as soon as we can. Alright, we are going to be getting going here again. Got the lobby all sorted. Sorry about the delays on that. Had rogue drivers. Couldn't get out of the lobby, but got that all taken care of. So we're going straight into the race here. Won't see any qualifying or anything like that. Just formation lap, and then we've got some laps here for you tonight. Just a few of them in this 100% here. So it's going to be a bit of a tall order for some of these guys after doing a sprint race just before this and then jumping right into this. So basically it's about doing a 150% race there with 21 laps before. But should be an interesting one here tonight. See a couple drivers out of place. Williams set themselves up beautifully during that sprint to really move themselves into the podium contention there with both cars. They got Scarenzi was sitting P3 at the end there. So everyone's going to be setting up their setups now and figuring out their strategies, adjusting. All they can adjust at this point would be tire pressure and I think front wing angle. So I'm not sure if anyone needed to do that after their race. They're not sure what everyone's monitoring, but should be a pretty good showing for us here tonight. So should be getting going here any minute now. He's got Scarenzi is your current leader, as I've said earlier in the Drivers' Championship. So he's going to be extending his lead tonight, assuming he makes it through turn one all right this time around. And Williams are also your leaders over Haas by just a couple of points, and Aston Martin sitting P3 in the constructors' standings as well. are going to be starting here. Everyone's got their setups finalized and adjusted as they needed to. Jose Miguel and the Alpine, they're going to be leading them away. Meeb losing out on the win earlier in the sprint due to a 3-second penalty. Just was short by 0.05 of a second there. So unfortunate for him, but Jose Miguel came out on top in that fight. And then Screnzi and Lanzi had a dominantly consistent drive there, staying within a second of each other for the entire race there. So impressive feat from them, and able to have a pretty good result there, and looking like they're going to want to turn it into something a little bit better here. You can see this race strategy going to be a 2-stop strategy, looking like some mediums and hards. Can be a couple of guys. One of the Williams there doing a little bit of lawn maintenance for us. These guys like to do everything they can to keep this track tip-top condition. We see a couple soft runners and a single hard runner, Villeneuve there. He was having a little bit of trouble with his car in the sprint race. See if he's able to turn that luck around here. Shelly the Turtle is going to be starting towards the back there in 13th place on a set of softs. Buck is in bringing up the rear after an early DNF. Unfortunate for him. See Gravity also on a set of softs, as is Lancy in the second Williams there, sitting P4. These guys coming now down to the final couple of corners. Can be getting their tires as warm as they can. Looking like Miguel's wanting to lead, get this pack up there as quick as he can, get this race underway. 63 laps here tonight, so it is going to be a bit of a longer one for some of these guys, but lap times are about 120s around here, so should go by pretty quickly for them. See, now we're getting ready to go underway as the lights are coming on. See if they're held long. And they are not held too long, as away we go. You see Screnzi's looking to make a good improvement there as he just gets boxed in by Miguel and me, but they make a little bit of contact there. Nowhere for him to go. Villeneuve down a spot on those hard tires. Baba Yaga down a couple spots as well there too. They stay pretty clean through there. You see Scuba Steve having to lose out a couple positions there, having to yield away. See everybody coming down now through these corners, as there is going to be the Red Bull there of Gravity spun around. He has a contact there with Cynical as well, gets tagged along in that. Doesn't look like Cynical has too much damage though to his front wing. Hopefully his body's in good condition there. He's going to see a safety car come out for this. So Meeb was able to retake the lead there from Miguel, and has got himself a decent gap built up already, as he was putting in a dominant performance in the sprint there. See there, it does look like Cynical's car is looking in pretty decent condition. So maybe just got it caught up on the wheels there or something and made that contact. You see there Shelly the Turtle coming into the pits as well. He's lost his front wing. Struggled to slow it down, it looks like a bit there, but he does the job. We are back racing again as well. Jose Miguel is just 7/10 off of the leader there, Meeb. And he's going to be wanting to get ahead on things as quickly as he can, as he's got Screnzi right behind him and an even faster Lancy behind on that soft tire. So Lancey being the only driver out on the softs at the moment now that Gravity and Shelly have pit. Gravity's gone for the hards, Shelly for the mediums. Let's see what Lancey's able to do here. He's going to be able to make it past his teammate. Baba Yaga is going to have an early DNF as well, it looks like. And that is going to be another safety car. So we're only on lap 2 here, and Andu had a virtual safety car, and I'm not sure if this is the full or the virtual. But Buck is up from starting in 14th position. He's seen himself up into 9th as well, up to there now. So good start from him, as there's going to be the end of the virtual safety car. DRS is going to be enabled as well. These guys are going to get going. As Lancey was thinking about making a move there on Screnzy, but just didn't have enough room there, as Miguel was closer to the back of Meeb a second ago, but Meeb is already able to put up a good bit of distance between them in just a few corners. You're going to see Lancey up the inside of, or outside of Screnzy, excuse me, there to get that move done there. So very crucial for Lancey's race that he gets past his teammate. Now he's going to be able to really attack these drivers in front with those soft tires. Elma Jacko is just close behind watching all of this unfold as well. Scuba Steve and Slayer Eyes from the Alfa Romeo combo following that up in 6th and 7th. So Scuba Steve is hot on the heels there of Majako's. Slayer Eyes has got himself a little bit of a gap to work with, and a pesky McLaren on his rear end. He's going to be vying to take that spot off of his hands here shortly if he can under DRS. See Jacko getting even closer. Now on to Screnzy. So Lancey's just fallen outside of his second. Oh, and Lancey's off and into the wall there. Not what you like to see from him there. So that is going to see him drop down probably to the back of the field there. And that's going to allow Jacko to close in a little bit more on Screnzy there. Screnzy was able to get the DRS from his teammate before he departed with the wall. But he's not going to have DRS the next time around unless he's able to close down this gap up ahead. You can see Lancey from that spin all the way down from P3 to P11 at the moment. You're going to see Cynical is getting ever closer to Villeneuve there, Villeneuve on the hard tire. Cynical on soft is going to have the advantage of traction here through these corners. Villeneuve making that car extra wide though, not able to really make anything happen in that corner. Can't really send anything up the inside on that corner or outside without going wide. So he's going to have to follow him through here now. And Imola isn't the best track for overtaking. You kind of have to have that straight line advantage if you want to be able to make a pass. So it's all about being able to follow these guys through the corners and stay as close and consistent and get a better advantage here. And see Villeneuve go wide there. And I'm not sure if he'd get a warning for that. I would imagine so, but that's going to allow him in the lead there. And Screnzy just sets the fastest lap with a 119.8, and we're going to see not Gravity spinning around there, and it's not what he'd like to have at this point in his race. As Cynical now able to make the move on Villeneuve. They're going side by side. Cynical's able to pull out just ahead of him before the corner. Very crucial to do so he doesn't have to worry about him coming in side by side and having to yield. But Cynical goes a little bit deep, and that allows Villeneuve to get the upper hand again and come back around and snatch that position back from him. This Meeb was get passed by Jose Miguel as well, and now we're going to see him hot on the heels of him. See if he wants to make something happen here. He knows he should think better of it. There's just not enough room for two cars through this part of the track. So he goes a little bit wide there. Maybe it just had a little bit too much speed, not slowing down the car enough in that slipstream. So Miguel grabs a good bit of curb, but is able to come out on top of that. And Baba Yaga, yeah. These are marathons, not sprints for sure, but, you know, yeah, sometimes it just unfortunate things happen, but as long as you ever take lesson from every race, you should be off to a good start. So Meeb now is going to be cutting back into Miguel here, trying to close down on the straight. Just can't do it. See, Miguel's car is scraping the ground there during that. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love watching you guys race. It's quite a lot of fun. As Meeb is closing down to just within a tenth and a half here. He might be thinking about making a move out onto this next corner. Cynical is back onto Villeneuve down there. He's just 4/10 behind him as well, so we'll check back in that battle in a moment. But for now, we've got Scarenzi and Jacko just a little bit behind these guys as well. So all their squabbling has allowed them to kind of close in that gap a little bit. And Meeb is getting close enough, just in the wrong parts of the track, not able to make anything work. Falls out of the slipstream a bit there too. Just going to give Miguel a little bit of an advantage there, a little bit of breathing room. Cynical back over Villeneuve there, which is not a huge surprise, but I imagine we'll see these guys fighting for a little bit longer now. So we're going to see Not Gravity retiring there as well. So that's going to be both Red Bulls out, so no points taken home for the constructor tonight. See, Meeb is gaining. Gets up right alongside Miguel there. Gets just ahead of him before the corner. Very crucial, like I said earlier. And makes textbook work of that to see if he's able to hold it through this chicane, and he is, unlike Cynical and Villeneuve's battle earlier. So that's going to allow me back into the lead, and he's already gotten himself 3/10 up ahead. So he's going to want to push that out and extend his stint as much as he can. All this early battling on these mediums is going to be harder for these guys, depending on who's had to follow more. They're going to be in a little bit worse condition with tire wear. I'm not sure if we're going to see anyone go for a crazy overcut, undercut some people maybe. And I imagine we're going to see lap 20s, I think it was what it was saying for the safety car, or excuse me, pit window around here. So Get It to Win It was close on the heels of Scuba Steve, but has since fallen back about 3.9 seconds now off of him. The solo McLaren running out there tonight. Had a DNF in the sprint race, grabs a little bit of curb, does a little bit of bungee jumping there with his car. But see, he's able to cope a lot better this race so far. And it looks like Villeneuve on that hard tire is doing a lot better as well. Maybe knowing he didn't quite have the pace of everybody, decided to put on those hards and just kind of go for a longer first stint than everybody else. As you're going to see Get It into the pits now as well. You got Lancey right on the heels of Villeneuve here. I imagine he's going to make this pass very easily, being on the soft tires and having DRS, and he comes up alongside of him right at the start-finish line. They're going wheel to wheel though, pretty consistently, as you see Lancey just slowly edges his way forward. You see Buck there on the heels of Slayer Eyes now. Has got that gap down to within a second, so coming up to the next DRS zone, if that gap's still where it is, he'll have that advantage over him and be able to cut into this Alfa Romeo team there. See, Scarenzi is getting awful close now to me as well. These front three are just driving pretty much front four in a league of their own. Got themselves a nice little gap pocket to play with there. I've got Scuba Steve is doing his best to try to get himself into that contention, but just failing ever so slightly to get up into that second window. You can see Buck now is still within that gap there for DRS, so I'm going to be getting that advantage, as well as you can see Meeb is coming up ever so slightly on Miguel, looking to make it happen here around the outside. And what's going to happen is they come in, almost make contact, but they don't. Meeb gets the advantage initially, but Miguel sacrificed a position for a better exit. See if he's able to do anything. He decides to back out of it, only on lap 9 of 63. Nobody wants to see their race ended early. So some smart driving from the pair of them here to be able to trade this back, as Scarenzi is just waiting for somebody to go a little bit too wide, slip up a little bit, and he'd be able to gain a position there. And Jacko is just eyeing him out as well. You see Buck now is just 3/10 back on Slayerized at the moment. Villeneuve is going to get a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think he caught a little bit of wing damage and pitted that early. He's only on 7 laps on those hard tires, so barely scratched the surface of their life. See Jose Miguel, if he's going to have another run. Jose Miguel's going to get himself a 3-second penalty as he went wide on that final corner there. And in doing so, lost a lot of momentum and isn't going to be able to really hunt down a gap there. Skrenzi's actually going to be able to gain a little bit of an advantage here from that. So Jose Miguel's going to have a 3-second penalty to deal with. First of our front runners get himself a 3-second penalty. Usually we see 2 or 3 spread out between the top 5. Kind of shakes up the order at the end a little bit. Or we'll see how drivers just push that much harder. Skrenzi gets off throttle though as he goes a little bit wide, wisely there to keep control of his car. Doesn't lose too much time from that, but Jacko is getting himself closer and closer every lap, it seems. See what he's able to do here in these coming stages, as all of these guys are probably going to be on very similar pit strategies as well. Buck was able to get past Slayer Eyes there. Slayer is still within a second though. See if Buck is able to extend that gap and really get an advantage, get himself outside that DRS window, as Ginnett, to win it, is going to get himself a 3-second penalty for track violations. He's running on a set of softs at the moment. And he's running P10. Slayer Eyes has fallen outside of that second window. So I think he's got DRS this time around, but if he's not able to keep that gap within a second, he is not going to be able to follow that Ferrari much longer. As we're going to see yellow flags up in here, as we're going to see Scuba Steve off the track. Very nearly comes back onto the track in the way of that Ferrari though, but he doesn't, comes out right behind his teammate Slayer Eyes. So within the DRS window, as Slayer Eyes is immediately going to yield that position to him, knowing Scuba Steve's has a better pace here this evening. So I think they're going to try to work in tandem here and close down that gap on that Ferrari once again. Yielding, they fell back a good bit. Yeah, Scuba Steve has been able to do a pretty solid run up until he had that spin. He was only about 1.5 seconds behind. But I think he has pretty near pace, so if he's able to time his pits just right, he should be able to get himself up into that top 5 fight for sure. See these top 4 guys all staying pretty close and consistent with each other. You see Skrenzi wanting to make a move on the Alpine of Jose Miguel up ahead of him. Not able to really close down too much, not pushing super hard. Just kind of managing pace at the moment. As you see, Jose Miguel goes wide there into the grass. Does well to keep out of the wall, though. That was pretty close. Could have ended his race. I was going to see Skrenzi and Jacko slide up onto the podium now as well. So unfortunate for Lancey, the other Williams. He was running P4 early on in this race before he had a spin, and that demoted him down to P8 at the moment. But he's on a set of soft tires and is cutting that gap down ever so slightly on these guys. Going to start to suffer here shortly on that soft set, but I imagine he'll make up a lot back in the second pit stop phase. So now we're going to see these top 4 start to spread out just a little bit here now. I think everyone's getting a little bit tired of always being on edge and able to get a little bit of a groove figured out here on where they need to be placing their cars for each individual setup. Jose Miguel fell back a little bit. He's 2.3 down off of Jacko now. He's going to be kicking himself after that incident where he just went a little bit wide, saved himself from smacking the wall too hard, but not enough, as Scuba Steve is within a second here or so of Buck ahead, so he's going to be within position to pounce on him in the next couple of laps, I would imagine. Just not having DRS down that straight though, but still able to close down that gap to within a second. Keep it consistently there. So we're going to see all top 3 drivers without DRS now for a moment, just a couple tenths outside of that second mark. You see Scarenzi goes wide there. That allows Jacko to close down that gap on him. It's going to be exactly what he needs down this straight here, where he's going to have that DRS advantage. Scarenzi 1.8 behind Meeb now. Meeb was able to capitalize on the second through fourth fight there. Everyone's scrapping away and getting himself up to a nice lead. But Jacko is now going to be able to close down and get on the hunt for Scarenzi's P2 position. Shelly the Turtle is going to get a penalty for track limits as well. You're going to see Get It to Win It has left the session. Maybe having some internet connections there. Unfortunate for him as his car is still driving around on track, so I don't think he just DNF'd or quit the race. Jacko is now down to half a second on Scarenzi up ahead. He's just slowly reeling him in, not really pushing too hard, saving up his ERS for when he's going to make the move rather than closing down that gap. He's going to have that DRS advantage. Lancey is getting closer to Slayerized as well, down in 7th and 8th. Scuba Steve also onto the back of Buck still, keeping right around a second there, so not slipping or gaining too much in this stage of the race. So now we're going to see Jacko pushing on the hunt here. He's gaining very rapidly on Scarenzi, as a matter of fact. And I was going to see him push his way up into the podium. A little bit further into the podium, that is. See Lancey's making the move on Slayerized as well on that straight. Gets that done nicely. I know he's got just a little bit of a gap cut down. He's got 5 seconds or so. As you're going to see Slayerized go a little bit wide. Guinness going to go into the pits now. But Lancey's got a 4.7, 4.8 second gap. He's got to close on Scuba Steve. And he is on the softer tire, but he is going to be nearing the end of that tire life. As you see Scuba is closing in. Now he's down to half a second on Buck up ahead, so I imagine these two are going to be scrapping away here soon, as Scarenzi is still within half a second of Jacko as well. Well, 15 of 63, soon to be 16. Guys, other than the 2 DNFs from the Red Bulls, we haven't seen anything too crazy from anybody else. So I imagine we'll probably see that stay pretty consistent through the remainder of the race here. See, he just edges up so slightly through those corners, able to carry just a little bit more momentum with him. And it isn't able to use that a whole lot on the exit of his corners, as Jacko's got better traction. His Get It to Win is going to get a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. So not sure what happened there. Might have gone off wide a little bit and just wasn't able to do anything about that. But Scuba Steve's still on the back of Buck, not able to get any closer in that battle down there. Again, it's going to be speeding in the pit lane and retiring from the session. I imagine that's about what would happen there. He wasn't having the best of times, it seemed like. So unfortunate week for him. Well, we're going to see Scarenzi on to Jacko now. Getting right up, tucked into his slipstream alongside the wall, and ahead he goes into this corner here. See it, he's able to keep control of his car very nicely, get it rotating through. Doesn't go up onto that curb there. It can be pretty tricky. Sometimes you can gain a little bit of time from that, but it is also very risky. If you get a little bit of wheel spin, you're pretty much just a passenger at that point. Scuba Steve was getting very close down the straight as well. On to Buck. Now he's just 2/10 back on him. They're in the Alfa Romeo. Jose Miguel is just 1.9 seconds off of Jacko. So not able to get DRS, but is gaining an advantage from these two scrapping in front there, as they're going to be driving just a little bit slower as they have to battle each other and kind of think about where the other car is going to be. They can't concentrate solely on speed. See Lancey coming into the pits now on that set of soft tires. Scuba Steve is making his move on Buck, as well as they're going side by side through those corners there. This Buck is going to maintain the position for the moment, but Scuba Steve is giving him a run for his money. But as I was saying, Lancey goes into the pits after 16 laps on those soft tires. He's going to put on a set of mediums now, try to cut his way back up through the field, and they're going to be pitting here within the next 10-15 laps or so, I'd say. So maybe able to gain a good advantage there and maybe get himself up ahead on track while he's at it. Scuba Steve is going to get a 3-second time penalty for track violations though as well. He's going to be just 2/10 back on Buck coming down into this corner here. He's gaining ever closely with that DRS advantage. He's going to be able to breeze past him there. See if he's able to hold it. Coming into this corner though is where it gets tricky. Sometimes it's easy to just miss your braking point by a couple of meters and it'll significantly change how you have to drive through the corner. But Buck is going to grab a little bit too much curb there, and he's going to see himself spin. Able to keep out of the wall, stay on track, and he's able to get going again. I don't think he's going to lose a position because of this, but that is unfortunate for him. Not what he'd like to have. But Scuba Steve is going to be very thankful, though, as Scuba Steve also had a spin, and that is going to allow Buck to regain that position. So they pretty much just decided to cook their tires there and swap positions. But that has allowed Sleigh Rise to close down massively on his teammate. And having that 3-second time penalty, maybe they'll think about swapping drivers now or something like that. But Buck was able to get the car going again very quickly, which is very important, especially in these 100% races. You're never really going to be able to make back that time, so getting going as quickly as possible is super crucial here. As you can see, it allowed him to regain that position. Jose Miguel is now just within a second of Jacko. Jacko is kind of backed off quite a bit from Scarenzi there. So now he's down to 2.3 seconds behind there, as he was within half a second previously. So a good bit of battling here from these midfield guys. Mead has got himself a dominant lead out in the front though now in 3.3 seconds. Scarenzi and Jacko fighting a bit. It's allowed him to stretch out ever so far there. And he's just been driving calm and consistent. Lancey with a 119.8 in the Williams there for the new fastest lap on those fresh medium tires. So not a big surprise from him there. But Mead was driving pretty consistently all day today, aside from his penalty in the sprint race. He's been driving, doing everything perfectly. Jose Miguel does not have the DRS at this time, just outside of the second at the detection line. Lancy again with another fastest lap, going a few tenths faster this time. So he is hot on the charge. He's got a 10-second gap to work with there due to his pit stop. And he's going to be coming up on Cynical. Is going to be the Mercedes up ahead is going to be who he's got his eyes set on. And Cynical is doing pretty well, closing down the gap a bit on Slayerized. Slayerized has since fallen back away from Scuba Steve after Scuba Steve and Buck both had a spin that allowed Slayerized to get pretty close, but wasn't able to match their pace. Jose Miguel is back under a second though now, and he's going to have that DRS advantage coming down this straight, so he's going to be closing back in on Jacko, going to be fighting for this final podium position. We're on lap 22 of 63 now, so just about a third of the way through. These guys have given us a lot of action so far. Jose Miguel does a really good job to catch that spin there. Saw him lose his rear end coming through that corner as your tires near the end of their life. That's a very demanding corner, high speed, and you kind of got to get on the throttle early, so it can be tricky at times, but he's doing a good job. Most of these drivers have been catching it pretty well. We saw Buck got caught up there, and Scuba Steve also having a little bit of trouble with his rears at this point, I think, as well. So these tires are going to be coming to the end of their life soon. So you're going to see Jose Miguel is going to be the first to come into the pits there. 21 laps on his set of mediums, so he's going to be the one pulling the trigger. I imagine we're going to see Jacko pitting as well, as they were pretty consistent racing against each other. Going to see Miguel going for a set of soft tires at this phase, so I imagine he's going to run those for about 10-15 laps and then maybe set on another set of mediums or maybe the hards. Not sure what we'll see. We saw Villeneuve wasn't super quick on those hards that he started the race on, but see, maybe in the hands of Jose Miguel, he'd be able to make something work out of that. And he's going to come out right behind Scuba Steve there in P6 at the moment, just 2.4, 2.5 behind on him. It's going to take him a little bit to get those tires up to temperature, but after that, he'll be pressing his advantage that he's going to have, having that softest compound on track. Going to give him a bit more traction there. Jacko has backed off a bit. Not sure if his tires are just completely gone or if he's just saving some fuel at the moment. Notice he's doing a little bit of short shifting as well there. We're going to see Shelly the Turtle is in the pits now, putting on a set of softs as well. So it's going to be the second set of softs from the stint that we've seen. So curious if that's going to be the move everyone goes for, if anyone's going to be going for another set of mediums, or maybe someone's going to switch to the hards for this stint with a late set of softs later on in the race. As Scuba Steve is just around a second back on Buck once again. And he is going to have a 3-second penalty against his name that he is going to have to deal with. So he's going to want to try to get past as quickly as possible. But Jose Miguel has closed down that gap to just half a second now as well. Also running a 3-second penalty for track violations. So we'll see if Jose is able to make anything happen coming up onto this next straight here. There's going to be a little bit of DRS. Not a super long DRS portion of track, but you know, all you need is a little bit of space. Coming up into the chicane here, you may just get moved on here now. Thinks better of it. The bang wheels a little bit, having to back out there. As you're going to see Scuba Steve get a little bit squirrely there on the curb. And coming down into the corner, looks like this is, oh no, Scuba Steve is fighting this one back. They're going to be dueling it through the corner here, as Jose Miguel is going to have that grip advantage and is able to make it all the way through on the inside. But Scuba Steve is not going to have the DRS either, because Miguel was behind at the activation point, and that is going to be his savior here to keep him ahead. This is how Scuba Steve was gaining it very rapidly. Even thought about going up the inside there if he could, but just has to back out. We're going to see Slayerized and Cynical both coming into the pits now. And I see the Mercedes pitting on a set of mediums there, and some mediums going on for Slayerized as well. Scuba Steve back on board with him. He's just half a second behind Jose Miguel at the moment. See if he's going to be able to fight back against those fresh softs or not. I don't imagine he's going to have too much pace. Those softs, the fresh set of softs against some old mediums is a pretty easy recipe for soft tires in front. As Buck is going to get a penalty for the track violations now as well. So that is going to be what Jose Miguel and Scuba Steve are going to want to see. So now all they have to do is get ahead and stay ahead on track, because we're going to see Jacko coming into the pits now as well. This is going to be Buck coming down now into this final back stretch here. So going to be coming into contention with Jacko when he comes out of the pits. Jacko going for a set of softs as well. These guys are going to be closing up to each other a lot closer here now. Jose Miguel with a 119.4 on those softs, your new fastest lap. And Jacko is going to be coming out just a bit behind. See, Buck is right up on Miguel now. These guys have been jockeying it around a little bit, swapping back and forth, giving us some good action here. Those soft tires are going to be working wonders for him at this stage. And I imagine that's going to make Buck think about pitting now, or if he wants to extend his stint. Not sure what kind of pace he's going to have in the long term against those softs, if he's going to be able to keep this space, or if he's going to have to pit early and change something up in his strategy. As you can see, Buck is now outside of DRS range. Those soft tires may just be proven to be too much of a challenge for him to really fight back against at this phase on those older mediums. Hasn't pit yet. We're going to see Shelly the Turtle with a DNF. That is unfortunate for him. I think he was, not sure if he retired or just what happened there, as he's in the pits now. It's going to see just 10 drivers remaining here on lap 27. So not quite halfway, but we are getting close. So these drivers are probably starting to feel a little bit fatigued. Kind of have to reel in your mental focus around this track. It's gotta know when to get on the throttle, and grip changes so easily in your cars. But Screnzy is going to be coming into the pits now, your P2 sitter. And he is in the Williams there. See what kind of tire he's putting on. He's going for a hard compound. Not sure if he's going to take these all the way home, but Jose Miguel with another 3-second penalty. So there you can see Buck and... yeah, Buck is coming into the pits now. Screnzi just coming out of them. So Buck is also going for that hard tire. That's going to put Lancey up in position. And he's going to have that advantage for a while as well, having the softer tire and then be a little bit faster through the corners. See Screnzi on those cold hards just kind of babying it through the corners there, working some heat into him. You're not going to have nearly the amount of traction and turning abilities on a cold set. Scuba Steve is now just a second behind Screnzi. He's going to have to pit still. Meeb, your race leader, is coming into the pits now finally. He's been hanging out in the front, just hanging out by himself pretty much since lap 2 or 3, once we got running again after the safety cars. We are going to see him not even have to yield his lead either, so great job by him to really push out into the front. Scuba Steve is going to be coming into the pits now, but Jose Miguel is going to be coming up right on the back now, so we'll see if he's able to hang out in the front with these guys, if he's going to be able to lead this race from here on out. Looks like he's able to get up alongside and ahead of me on those hard cold tires. Isn't going to really be able to do much against some warm softs, so case in point there of getting temperature into your tires is very crucial. Even though he just came out of the pits, there wasn't going to be much he could have done anyway. But Scuba Steve is now onto a set of hard tires. Buck's going to get just ahead of him. But we're going to see Jose Miguel is going to have to pit once again. But Meeb on those hard tires could probably take those to the end of this race if he really needed to. We might see him pit later on for a set of softs towards the end, depending on if there's a late safety car maybe, or if he just wants to get some fresh rubber to kind of push back against them lead, because they're going to see Miguel is going to have to pit once again, so he definitely has that to play with. Screnzi, though, is just 2.3 behind him, so going to be close to see what he's got. And Elma Jacko on those softs is closing in on Screnzi now within DRS wide open. He's gaining just a couple of tenths on this straight here, so very good pace from him. Yeah, exactly. Miguel's gonna have to push very hard, get himself up a nice gap, and hope that Meeb is gonna run into a little bit of trouble from Screnzi or something like that. Get himself an advantage, because yeah, he's gonna have about a 20-25 second gap he's gotta make up with another pit stop. As Meeb, though, is getting dangerously close to back within a second of Miguel. Even though Miguel's on the soft tires, Meeb just doesn't seem to care, pushing like a mad dog. See Jacko again on the DRS, a lot closer this time if he's able to be able to make a pass. Looks like it's going to be quick, easy, and painless. Pain only for Screnzi having to watch that Ramco banner on the back of that Aston Martin. But once again, just like in the same situation as Miguel, Jacko is going to need to pit again at some point. We know Jacko's a pretty quick driver, so he should be able to build himself a decent gap. Once he gets clear air, he's pretty much set on his mission, and he goes for it. Scuba Steve with another 3-second time penalty. I'll take a look and see what kind of penalties everyone's at right now. So Scuba Steve's on 6, Vale's got 5. 9 seconds for Jose Miguel, so he's also, not only does he have... Yeah, if Meeb goes to the end on that set of hards, then everyone else's hopes are pretty much going to be dashed, but Miguel is going to have a hard charging mission ahead of him if he's got that 9 seconds worth of penalties to work on as well. And Buck's sitting on only 3 seconds with Scuba Steve not too far behind him. These guys are going to be battling pretty close to the wire, I imagine. Scuba Steve's going to want to get ahead of him. I know Buck isn't one to really yield positions for any reason, so it's not going to be easy for Scuba Steve to make his way back through. See Lancey having a little bit of a difficulty getting around that lapped car of Villeneuve there, but he makes it happen there. His yellow flag's down there for a second. Scarenzi closing down that gap on Jacko. Jacko is on the 7-lap old soft, so it's going to be kind of coming to a halfway kind of point almost with those tires and their grip level. So going to have to start conserving a little bit, I think. But Scarenzi is not going to have to worry about that on those hard tires, at least just yet. You can usually push for about 5 or 6 laps pretty hard on those tires, and they'll be able to withstand that beating, and then you can kind of coax through them pretty generously, and you can still push a good bit on those hards. Game seemed to do a really good job of balancing the hard tires this time around. Can actually seem like a viable race tire a lot more now. I'm gonna see Scuba Steve off in the gravel though. It's not what he'd like to see, as that's gonna be Miguel with another 3-second penalty. So that's gonna pretty much almost spell him off of the podium if he's not able to get a good gap going. So we are going to see a safety car out as well, it looks like. Yeah, Jose Miguel is going to be speeding in the pit lanes. Yeah, the soft runners are going to want to be coming in now, and it looks like all of them are, as we expected. Jose Miguel is going to be out of this session as well. But that is going to pretty much see everybody coming in for a set of mediums as well at this halfway point. They might be able to make them last to the end. I would have imagined a couple more of the guys on hards in the front would have stayed out, like Scarenzi. But Buck is going to get himself a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And he comes in now. He's going with a set of softs. Interesting. So he's going to run those for maybe 10-15 laps, and not sure if he has another set he'd like to throw on after that to run in. Let's see what Scuba Steve here is coming in. He's got himself a new swing and some new medium tires. It's going to be a double stack from the Alfa Romeo team. So Slayer is getting the butt end of that deal there, having to hang out in the pit lanes, fall a little bit back, but under safety car you'd be able to make that back in most instances unless we get going pretty soon, but how the field's spread out, I doubt we would. Cynical now on a fresh set of hards, running in P7. So he's done pretty silent all race, hasn't really had anything stand out worthy, but still consistency is key in this series, in these endurance races. If you want to finish, you gotta be able to put in solid, consistent times, not just fast every once in a while. And a couple of good saves here and there. It's all about calculation throughout your entire race. So Scarenzi is now in the lead, but with me hot on his heels and Jacko on a fresh set of medium tires. Gonna see what Scarenzi can do on those hards. Yeah, it was about 24, 25 when most of the front runners on mediums came in. So I imagine we're going to see that same thing, which would be pretty close to the end of the race actually, so they'd only be pushing them out a little bit, but Buck on those softs is going to have to come into the pits again. So that's going to see him drop down if he's not able to really push much of a gap out from the restart of the safety car. Let's see you guys get nice and close for comfort there. Coming through that corner. Sometimes everyone gets a little bunched up and can get messy if you're not careful. So Meeb is just doing everything he can to keep some temperature in those tires there, doing a little bit of burnouts there to fire them up, get some quick heat into them. Not the best strategy for conservation purposes, but safety car is going to be coming in this lap for these final 9 drivers we've got. We're on lap 36 of 63, so just over halfway. Most everyone on their starts.